So, what's important with when you're laying up the fabric, and particularly when you're laying the pattern pieces on the fabric, is that you take the fabric itself into account. So, this fabric here, this is a cotton velveteen, and you can see, I'm not sure how obvious it is, but if you look at it one way, and you feel velveteen, usually it's a bit rougher going one way than it is the other. It feels smoother, and whichever way you lay it up or lay the pattern pieces on top of this, you have to decide whether you want the darkness of one side, and I'm not sure which is which here, but they should look like a different color each side. This one looks darker, sure. So if you want it to look darker, then you would have it with your pattern pieces, so the top, so the shoulders, the neck of your pattern pieces, if we're doing a shirt like the one on the dummy here, is that you have all of the neck pieces and the neckline, like I've said before, neckline, everything up the top, and you lay the pieces down, so the body goes down the piece. This one here is quite obvious as well, and this is a pretty awful polyester stretch, but I think this one it's even more obvious, the difference that you can see. So you have to be really consistent with the way that you lay up these two fabrics so that you get consistency. Otherwise, if you lay like the front one way and then the back flipped over the other way, you're going to have like a dark back and a light front, which can just look really odd sometimes. So that's something you have to think about. Here we've got a couple of other fabrics that I'll show you. This one here is a print, and it has a really obvious directional print. So when you're looking at this, you can decide which way you want it to go, because this here, we've got the leaves going up here, and then this is like a blossom here, but then on this pieces we've actually got like these branches going down. So it's probably one of those things where you would decide which way you wanted it to be. So again, all of your pattern pieces, if you want like this at the top of the garment and this lower down the garment, you would have all of your neck pieces up there, and sort of have, so all of the pieces would go down in this direction. And when we get a pattern, I'll lay some of those up just to show you. So that's a very obvious directional one. With this one as well, it might be a good idea. I mean, if you're making an expensive garment out of this, you might actually position, like have this as the center front. If you were doing a dress, like this, the center of the fabric would be would match the center of the print, and you would work your way out, and then maybe you would have your two backs on either side there. I think you really have to take the design into account because it is so strong, and having rather than having this down the center front, if you've got, if you had the dress pattern and you had this sort of like off to the side, so if your piece goes like this and you did it this way, it would be really obvious that was out of whack, and would look a bit odd. So it's worth with it, and that also means too that because you've got you want to make those decisions about the lay of the fabric and the lay of the print. It can take more fabric, a lot more fabric than you think in the first place, so that has to be taken into account. Couple more here. This is a print here, and this one, let's have a look. Just looking at it, it looks like it goes both ways. So if you have a look at the flowers, like this rose here goes this way, this one's this way, this one's that way, this one's sort of like off to the side, that one's off to that side there. So I think with this print, it would be pretty easy when you lay up the pieces for you to go either way, so you can have a mix of the directions that the pattern pieces go. Again, I'll show you that when we have the patterns here. And I don't think it'd look odd if you went either way with this. This one here, again, is another print which is a bit more abstract. It's sort of like patchwork. And I think with this one too, it would probably be a case of I think you could probably go either way. I mean, it is directional because like you have this here on the check, and then the same up here. So when you look at it, does you could do it directional, but maybe if you cut it so that it wasn't directional. The thing is too, if it's directional, it's going to take up more fabric. If it's not, you're going to be able to slip pieces like closer in together. So I think with this one, I'd probably do it either way, and rather than having it directional. And this one here, it's very cute fabric with elephants on it. And of course, like you're only going to have this fabric going directional. So the elephants actually go one way and the other way, but that's across the fabric. So, we really want, if you had the center front, so the neck would be up here and the center front going down. And on the sleeves head too, so the sleeve head here with the sleeve going down, because otherwise, like if you cut it both ways, you'd have some pieces with the elephants, standing on their feet, and the other half with the elephants standing on their heads, which would look a little bit silly. So this is a very obvious directional that you have to take into account.